You ever have a day where it feels like the universe just picks you for the drama? Because I'll tell you, the day Lana Prescott marched onto my property, all high heels and attitude, barking, "You've got 30 minutes to leave," was that day for me. No hello, no good morning, just a threat dropped on me like she was auditioning for Judge Judy. And my only crime was owning a cabin that didn't fit her vision of a perfectly bland neighborhood. One minute, I'm out in the Colorado Mountaineer fixing my fence, feeling the kind of peace you get when the only thing you hear is wind through the pine trees. And the next, I've got an HOA president treating me like I'm public enemy number one. Now, if you've ever tangled with an HOA, you're probably already feeling a little heartburn on my behalf, right? Go ahead, drop your state in the comments if your HOA ever tried pulling this kind of nonsense. This story's got pettiness, revenge, and more twists than a mountain road. Let me back up a sec. You've got to understand just how wild this ride got. That morning started out like any other. I've been living in that 3-bedroom log cabin for 3 years, ever since I got out of the military. My granddad built it back in '87, and after all I'd seen and done, that cabin was my sanctuary. I was just hammering a loose board when this black Mercedes SUV purrs up my gravel drive. Out steps Lana, expensive suit, sunglasses big enough to double as riot shields, clipboard in hand, and 2 guys who look more like nightclub bouncers than anything you'd expect from an HOA. She calls out my name like she's reading a court summons. "Mr. Reeves," she says. I nodded, keeping my face calm. "That's me." She handed me the envelope as if she was expecting me to burst into tears on the spot. "The HOA is suing you," she said, listing off violations so fast you'd think she was on commission. Unauthorized structures, visual disharmony, lack of permits, the usual HOA buzzwords. I took a slow breath, opened it up, and there it was. Official court dates, that HOA logo, and her card, Samantha Kent, legal counsel. She had the same smirk I'd seen on plenty of courtroom bullies. "I advise you to remove the red barn, the satellite tower, and that flagpole by week's end, or we escalate," she added, like she was reading from a playbook. I gave her a steady look, let a small smile creep in. "Miss Kent, I'm a retired attorney general. Helped write some of the land laws around here." Her mouth twitched. "This ranch is exempt from your HOA. Been that way for decades. It's in county records. You might want to check with your client before you start a war." She blinked, hesitated. "We'll see about that," she snapped, heels slipping a little on the gravel as she stormed off to her black BMW. You know the type. When they get told no, they only push harder. And I knew right then things were about to get real messy. That night, I pored over the legal docs. Every accusation was built on HOA bylaws that didn't touch my land. My exemption was solid. I wrote it myself back when Clear Meadow was just a patch of wildflowers. They were trying to use fear, hoping I'd fold, but I didn't get this far by backing down. I put on my best jeans and my old badge and went to their next HOA meeting. Janet went pale when I walked in, but she plastered on a smile. "It's a private meeting, Mr. Grant." "That's fine. I'm here as a public citizen, observing an HOA that's overstepping." When they pulled up a slide with my barn and legal action underway, I raised my hand. "Just want the record to show this lawsuit is a misuse of HOA funds and borders on harassment. My property's not under your control. You keep pushing, I'll countersue." Silence. One guy asked, "Who are you?" "Thomas Grant, retired attorney general." You could have heard a mouse sneeze. I thought that would scare him straight, but it only made him desperate. 2 nights later, someone threw a rock through my window and taped a note to it. "This is your warning." The sheriff, Wademison, good kid, came out, dusted for prints. "Looks like some folks out at Clear Meadow want you gone," he said, frowning. "You're not in their district, but they act like they own the whole county." "That's about to change," I told him. The next day, I called Judge Ela Porter, an old friend. She told me, "Tom, file a restraining order and document everything." So I did. Set up cameras, kept every letter, every weird email. Chris, my Army vet neighbor, helped me set up motion detectors. 2 weeks later, a letter came from the county. Someone filed a bogus complaint accusing me of illegal water runoff from my solar panels. Total smear job. I bundled up every permit, every environmental report, and requested a hearing at County Hall. Janet and Samantha sat front row, but when I laid out my evidence, the judge tossed their complaint and told the HOA to cease and desist. Thought that had ended it? Nope. That night, Chris rushed over with his phone, screenshots of a private HOA chat. We may have lost in court, but we'll make his life miserable. No one mocks Janet's HOA. And that's when I knew. They weren't just after me. They wanted control. Time to fight fire with fire. I filed a civil harassment suit and asked for a court order that Clear Meadow HOA couldn't so much as mention my name. The sheriff, Darnell, old buddy of mine, served him in person. Janet nearly choked on her wine. For a second, I thought it might be over. Then, someone started a fire behind my barn, tried to burn me out. Fire department put it out in time, but the captain said this was deliberate. Now it was criminal. Next court date, I walked in, laid out everything. Threats, vandalism, arson attempts. Judge Ramirez granted a permanent injunction and sent all my evidence to the DA for criminal review. Janet's face turned to stone. Samantha dropped her pen. I thought they'd crawl away. Instead, they doubled down, cut my fence, tried to frame me for illegal pesticide storage. I brought in a PI, Frank Russo, who found them funneling HOA funds into fake consulting firms, Samantha's husband's company. Janet even told her board to handle things unofficially. Fraud, plain as day. We handed everything to the DA. Next thing you know, investigators raided the clubhouse, froze accounts, arrested Janet, and suspended Samantha's law license. That's when people started thanking me. Letters from folks who'd lived under HOA threats for years. A single mom, Abigail Moore, wrote, "You stood up and now we can breathe again." That made every sleepless night worth it. A few weeks later, a kid knocked on my door, handed me a crayon drawing of me in front of the barn. "Thank you for being brave," his mom said. "He can finally ride his bike past the checkpoint." I teared up. That little piece of paper meant more than any settlement check. So here's my truth. The law doesn't end at the HOA's property line. If you stand your ground, document everything, and fight with the facts, you can win, even against bullies with money and lawyers. After the dust settled, the county named a park after me. Life on the ranch got peaceful again, but I never fully relaxed. Peace isn't just quiet. It's knowing you fought for what's right. So, tell me, if you were me, would you have backed down or fought back? Drop your thoughts below. Share your stories about HOAs, and let's keep this conversation going. Because sometimes the best revenge is a community where everyone finally gets to come together.